Welcome back to another week of the Transformation Leaders Podcast. I am Shawn Ennis, and David Soden, my normal co-host, is taking a well-deserved leave of absence for holidays before the end of the summer, and I'm joined with a colleague of mine by the name of Chris Tutas, and today we'll be going through a little bit about AI in the non-technical trades. So, Chris, I'd love to introduce you. You are an expert that I've known for a very long time. And if you haven't known Chris, he is definitely a thought leader in this space. He works for a company called Fortress Technology Advisors. Chris, can you give everybody an understanding of what you do and how you
Sure.
help your customers?
Sure. Again, thanks for having me. Really great to be here. I hope David is certainly a very valuable resource. He and I collaborate often as well, and hopefully I can fill his shoes. He's a very smart man that I respect a lot. So my company, it's really briefly. Um, I think you and I have shared the same idea about how to utilize AI, and with the coming wave. I recognize that it's an opportunity for those folks that are typically value contributors within very large organizations, whether it be product guys, idea guys, etc. They, with the shakeups that have happened, the introduction and the vast, rapid adoption of AI, it lends them an opportunity to go out on their own, to bring their ideas forward, and to develop products on their own, such as yourself. And what I bring is the ability to knock on doors. I commercialize, I offer business advice, help them set up their LLCs. Think of the things that are around the corner that are coming. It's, as you know, it's one thing to have a great idea and a great product, but the very first question that either PEs or investors are going to be ask you is, who's your target audience? Who's going to buy this? And how are you going to scale your organization? A lot of great inventors, a lot of really great smart people aren't used to answering those questions. They don't have that knowledge. And so what I've developed is an agent model where I offer them that guidance, that consulting, and help them grow their business, get it established as a legitimate business, and then develop a go-to-market plan, identify those things, and build their acumen on the business side so that they can go in front of PEs or go in front of investment folks and be able to answer the questions and demonstrate that they understand how to run their business, they understand who their audience is, they understand who they're selling to, and they understand the gap that their product is filling. So it's really allowing them to leverage the acumen to take a great idea and monetize it, in a sense. So I view myself as a technology incubator and represent a model in which I can represent 10 to 15 of these companies, one of which we're taking right now to a series, and hopefully possibly even M&A, which is a dream come true for them. And I'm proud to say that we had some small part in that. And as you know, Shawn, we work together on the regular, trying to evolve and find a market for the very valuable tools that you're providing. And we do it in a manner that it's not going to fleece you of all of your cash to where you have to hire a CRO. So that's what we do. We bring the business acumen to folks that want to achieve their dreams, basically.
Excellent. So today, this is a subject that I know you and me have talked about before, but it's something that I hear all the time. And one of the things that I hear from people is that AI is not going to impact the trades, or it's going to impact the trades very little. And it's something that I push back a lot on, to the surprise of many. So much so that I actually had asked, I've been asked by customers, well, you need to articulate that better. You need to communicate that I say that, yeah, the work is safe for the trades, but the business is not. So, a lot of people start with a trade, and what AI is enabling them to do, much more than anything else, is allow them to hang out their own shingle, because uh, the capabilities of being your own company is never easier now in the digital and AI age. Obviously, AI is not going to, at least right now, unload a truck at a grocery store. But what it will do is schedule that truck to be delivered. It will indicate whether that truck has been delivered successfully. So, this isn't a new shift. Back in the internet, there was this thing, some of you out there may remember it, the yellow pages. So if you needed a plumber, you would go through and pick up the yellow pages and start at A, and then there'd be triple A plumbing, and you would call triple A plumbing. And that's how you would find out. Now there's something called Yelp that you can just ask, but more more people are just using AI to ask, hey, who's the best in my area, and not even look at you. But this shift is being applied in a much more business level example. So now people who have a moving company can just have an inbox, and people can send just an email saying, hey, I'm looking to schedule this, that, and the other, and have AI automatically schedule everything through an email address. Lowering the bar for the people out there who spend nights and weekends scheduling their next jobs or creating invoices. A lot of this level work is going away. So, people are saying this, hey, the physical work is safe. So again, at the time of this publishing, AI is not creating you a meal. It will give you a recipe. It will edit the recipe based upon what ingredients you may have. And on the flip side is the data entry business is basically dead. AI is doing the data entry, a lot of the customer service. I know programming and coding at the lower levels is being incredibly disruptive. But at a business level, this is bigger and bigger. So again, there's a difference between the skills that AI will impact or not impact, and then the business. So the business side is always going to be impacted by AI, but the skills underneath of the individual workers are being disrupted asymmetrically. But I want to make sure this is it's clear, because it's so easy to start your own business now with AI. The skills are being disrupted so that individual people can get their own jobs independently of having a work for hire type company above them. Does that make sense, Chris?
It does. And, I think I view this as you and I spent a lot of time in BSS early in our careers for the telcos, right? The business support systems. I view AI much like you do, that this is really, it can be leveraged and is important as the BSS for now, not the business to business, but the business to consumer side of things. And it is trickled down, and it can be a workforce multiplier, as well as, when I hire a plumber or an electrician or somebody to build a house, the first thing I do is I ask my friends, right? Who have you had a good experience with? Everybody that you talk to has had a bad experience with one of those entities. And I think that is going to be, even more important as you go forward, to maintain reputation management, reference management, a good name, and if you're ever up like I am sometimes at 3 a.m, you're used to watching TV, and typically you get the feel good ads on the local Family Guy that's on there and says, do business with me. I've been doing it for 30 years. Well, I'm not sure that that's going to really get you business. And how do you translate that message and that feel good family business story to a digital world where everybody now is going online to look for utilities and look for people to help, and using those things and having a system that can replace your website, can do agent to agent interaction, can manage you talked about yellow pages. I have a very firm belief that LinkedIn has eroded to being a $79 a month subscription as a yellow pages for businesses. You go on there, everybody is really just posting, here's what we're doing. They're using the messaging for, hey, I get 100 of these a day. We're helping startup businesses with brand and da-da-da. And it's tireless. And, it's going to get to the point where it's going to drive people away from LinkedIn. So what is the next medium going to be? It's going to have to be an AI managed social media campaign, marketing campaign, website management. And I don't know how long websites are going to be, in the vernacular, but they need to be adjusted for new content on the regular. And that's something I think AI can do for you, not just somebody else getting in there and, on top of everything else I have to do, scheduling, etc. Now I've got to update my content so that I stay at the top of the search engines and I'm using the right keywords. I think that's somewhere it will 100% have impact on the trades if they're not utilizing that type of technology. And they need to stay focused on delivering great service, showing up on time, doing great work, and then asking for a reference that can be backloaded into the data sets for the AI.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, one of the things that people really misunderstand about the AI tools is for the expert, for the person who really knows how to code a piece of software, AI is not going to help them code better software. It's the same thing on the opposite side, though, with the amateur. So for the person who's never fixed a toilet, you can take a picture and ask AI, what do I do to fix this? And maybe you knew nothing about it before, but now you could get a whole lot better. And then there is the idea of the businessman or lady who is starting their own company, putting their own shingle out, and says, hey, I want to do something, and how do I find business? How do I do these things? That's an amateur businessman. So they have the same capability. So I want to be clear, AI is really good for the people who do not have skills in an area that they need help with. But for the people who have the skills, it isn't helping them as much, if any. And we're seeing that. For example, in the white paper, it gives examples for all of these. But for the people who are saying, I'm going to do the old process and I'm an expert, have it help me do it now. Well, that just doesn't make sense. If you use new tools like the old process, and I've talked about this in my previous podcast about how agile is dead, you're not going to get the productivity gain. So AI kind of raises that floor for the amateur. What it doesn't do is really raise the ceiling for a professional. So this makes sense in the context of those sweaty startups out there that they're doing non-technical work. It may not help them on the job site because they know how to fix a toilet. They fixed 50 of them in the last year. But they probably don't know the correct way to create an invoice or how to pay state income taxes or state sales taxes, right? AI can help them do that. And so a lot of the barriers for people getting into business are absolutely evaporating with AI. So to say that, hey, a tradesman isn't going to use or see value with AI, I would absolutely disagree with.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think you see it. I think the biggest impact it makes is on the quoting side, to where, you don't have to actually send an expert or your advanced plumber out there. It's tailored to your business and what your trade is. You take pictures. Here's the problem. Here's what it looks like. Here's a picture of the plumbing. And and then the AI can create the quote for you, right? Like those are time savings. Those are valuable tools. And then that you can turn, the only way I can explain it is really, the idea with trades is going to be how quickly can you turn a quote to cash, right?
Yep.
And so, how many steps can you remove into your quoting process? I know a ton of people that say, yeah, I had the guy out here, the Wednesday was his quote day. I must have fallen through the cracks. It took me 2 weeks to get a quote back because it was a manual process. Now, is the tradesman, does he get paid or make money for doing those quotes? No, he doesn't. So he should find a really efficient way to maximize and minimize the amount of time spent doing that and ensure that the quote gets pushed back to a customer as fast as humanly possible, because that is when that reputation is starting to be managed. What was my engagement like? How quickly did he understand my problem? How quickly did he get me back a quote? How quickly was he able to get here on the job and get me scheduled? Those are all things that AI can help with. Nobody's saying that AI is going to replace the expertise in knowing what tool, because if you've ever taken apart a toilet and realized that you don't have the right tool to get in there, that's where you understand the value of a plumber, right? And
Yeah.
or you change a kitchen sink and you got a water leak and you're throwing your hands up and you end up needing the plumber anyway. That is what you want your tradesmen to be focused on: bringing the right tools, getting the job done, having a satisfied customers, but not in the marketing, not in the quoting. Those are all things where it can drive the profit and the margins up for your day-to-day tradesmen. And I think that's true from general contractors across the gamut, whether it be concrete, managing the number of jobs in the same zip code in order to maximize how much you're paying for concrete and how many stops that truck needs to make. Those are all things that AI is very, very good at helping. The mundane, the tasking, the scheduling, the quoting. That is where it's going to make a significant impact in the trades, in my opinion. And again, I don't work with tradespeople on the regular, but I can see the applicability because I do use AI for those things across a variety of different verticals.
And again, I hear this, and I'm trying. I think this is a great thought leadership exercise, Chris, because I know you and me don't have a lot of plumber customers and clients, but we do have a lot of clients who say, I don't see the value of AI to my business. And to me, I react like that's outrageous, because everybody can take advantage of this. Every business can take advantage of this, and you knowing where to use it and how to use it and how to be successful at it is really the large gap that exists in the market today.
Well, and that is honestly a personality fit, right? You have to be prepared and willing to relinquish some aspect of control. And I get it, right? Like, if you're a mom and pop shop, you want to control everything from that first interaction with the customer all the way through to collecting the cash. But in this day and age, you've got to be comfortable with the change. You've got to be comfortable with the adopting technology as a tool to facilitate driving more money into your business, right? And I'm seeing that across every single vertical. It's like, I want AI to demonstrate ROI, but then when you tell them how, it's, well, I don't want them touching that. I don't want it touching this. I don't want it touching, like, okay, well then, you've just shot your own business case. So, I think we're really early into this, right? Regardless of, everybody is trying to investigate and they're kicking tires. But when you tell them how, they're like, well, that changes the way I'm doing business. I have to change my process. And that is where I think across the board, and even these bigger corporations, when you see the stories of AI failing, yeah, because you weren't prepared to change your organization's processes. You weren't prepared to relinquish some control. And frankly, you're uncomfortable when the AI tells you, hey, this is where your business is falling down. This is where it's falling through the cracks. There are people out there that are like, I don't want bad news, right? I don't want to have to do the things that are required. I like doing them the way that I have been, but then out of this other side of their mouth, my business isn't growing. I'm not getting ROI. And I can't tell you how many meetings I sit there and I'm like, you and I both even have been on calls where people are like, you know what? I think I'm going to just try to build some of this myself. Cool. How many times have we gotten calls back that are now like, oh my God, I haven't focused on my core business. I've gotten sucked into tweaking AI. I've gotten sucked into fixing bugs in my AI because I'm YouTubing how to build AI. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's, you wouldn't start, if you had engine trouble, you wouldn't say, hey, I think I'm going to YouTube how to be a mechanic and I'm going to take my entire car apart that I need so that I can, test whether I can fix it or not. Good for me. It's not really relatable. It's, there are products out there that can help you. There are products that are for the beginner. There are entry-level products. I would encourage everybody, tradesmen or otherwise, take a look at what you're willing to adopt. What is the one thing you could fix if it could be automated? What would that be? Is it answering phones? Is it customer support? Is it invoice creation? Is it quote creation? And start there, because the beautiful thing about AI is you could start anywhere and then grow it horizontally as you become more comfortable with it.
Well, so that's a great point. And, what I am seeing for most non-technical businesses, they have two major gaps in their business. Number one is 94% of firms say they have difficulty getting quality help, right? So how do I advertise to the retail employment market that I want high quality people to come talk to me? Now, again, LinkedIn for the technical side of things, Indeed.com, Monster.com, they're certainly addressing that for, the chief executive officer, the director of network operations, those kind of roles. But the world does not all revolve around technical companies. Now, the flip side is a lot of people have the problem of, okay, I've got people, but I need to get more customers. So getting more customers or getting more people are two of the most common use cases, right? And this is a shared problem. It is all about being able to mass communicate and manage the replies. I've talked to people in the trades and they say they spend their nights and weekends talking to people, either trying to hire them or talking to customers, trying to get more business. And they spend far more time, as your point, Chris, with the people who are learning to code with AI, they're spending more time on things other than the trade that they got into. So a lot of people have this problem and fail in trade businesses because they spend all their time not doing their trade. They do things that are not in their trade. And so AI can help them. And these are the two areas that I find more commonly that people have the opportunity to get value from AI. So an example, if you have a moving and hauling company, I know we talked about plumbing, but let's talk about others. Every business can use this technology, right? So whether it be moving and hauling, which summer capacity is the biggest thing, but what if they use this technology to partner with leasing offices and realtors so that they get businesses fed to them as with referral fees, right? This is working smarter, not harder. That's how I was taught growing up. If you work smarter and not harder, this can build your business. This can grow your business. For property rentals, 55% national occupancy rates. So just think of the money that you can get by advertising in the retail social media market of saying, hey, like these weeks are open, we'll give you at half price, right? 50% is better than 0%. And then, in the landscape businesses, it's all about the route density. So being able to go through and find who runs the HOA for this division, homeowners area, this development area, and be able to talk to that person and say, hey, I'd really like you to be able to send this out to the other people that I'm giving a discount for this. I can go through and for every new customer you get me in the HOA, I'll donate $50 to the HOA, right? You can have these kind of conversations to build your business using this technology. I heavily recommend people to look at their business, understand that AI has the capability of growing it, and reach out to somebody, whether it be Chris, myself, David, people who will understand this technology to bring you forward into what your business can be. Because if you don't, I think everybody understands what the Blockbuster video story is, right? The internet and digital services destroyed many businesses who said, you know what, I'm just going to keep doing business the way I want to do business. And then are upset or disappointed when they can't find customers, they can't find help because all their customers and all their help is being found using tools like this.
One comment there, your Blockbuster analogy carries merit in the story of itself. However, for those that don't understand, it's really a story of turning their back on the next technology adoption that was coming. Everybody remembers Redbox, right? The period when Redbox approached Blockbuster and wanted to partner and didn't want to be Redbox. They wanted to OEM those Redboxes to be Blockbuster boxes. And they said, no, we're good. And Redbox said, you sure? We can it would like putting small Blockbusters on every street corner, on every 7-Eleven. You don't want to do that? And they said, no. It is a prime example of them racing to their own demise in an exercise in arrogance.
Yep, absolutely. So, I'd like to wrap it up by making sure everybody understands what this technology does not do, right? It will not fix a bad offer. So it is not going to help you if no customer will find value in whatever your offer is. If you're like, hey, we're really interested in selling, I ice cream to the Inuit people in Alaska. These things don't make sense. If your sales and marketing strategy makes no sense, the software will get you a lot of closed doors. And this technology does not close business for you. A lot of people think that AI is somehow going to be this technology that you turn it on and it's just going to deposit money into your banking account.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
This technology does not work without people, smart people who have strategy, who have networks, who have ethics. People do not buy from AI. They either buy from the brand, which marketing defines, or, especially on very expensive things, they buy from people they trust, people who they identify as experts who know more than they and will guide them to the promised land. Experts like Chris, why Chris is here today, right? And then the other thing with this technology is it only knows what it knows, and it needs to be fed with what is good information, with what your competitors are doing, what your customers' daily lives are like, the industry that they're working on. So branding and strategy is incredibly important to set up with this technology. Otherwise, AI will be pointed in the wrong direction and giving you bad answers because it just doesn't contextually know what you're trying to do. And then lastly, research is not a perfect thing, right? Not everybody is going to have a digital footprint that you can find. There are plenty of people out there who don't have an account on LinkedIn, who do not have an account on Facebook, who do not have an account on Instagram. But close to 80 to 85% of Americans of business age have an account on one of these platforms. And that means that they are posting something about themselves, especially how to access them digitally, so that the majority of people you want to get hold of, it's just a matter of finding of who, why, and when, and how to say what you're trying to say. And that's what this technology does. Beware of the people out there who are over-promising what AI does, because most likely they have no idea what they're talking about. So, Chris, I'd leave the last bit for you. I know you have certainly run into plenty of people who are getting fed these four things. And what kind of feedback have you been getting on these things?
Really, like, for me, it's as you and I talk about all the time, it's trying to understand, like, I don't believe in selling anybody something for the sake of selling them something, right? It's, I would say before anybody wants to get into AI, a good way to get educated on it is, what is the problem that's keeping you up at night? What is it that you're struggling with? And then what would the ideal outcome be? And the AI offers you the opportunity to kind of be able to reverse engineer if it's even possible. Is the problem solvable? Is the outcome achievable? Rather than, hey, that looks good, I think we can wedge it in here and I hope that it succeeds, right? And I think that's true of any trade. And I would approach any exploration of AI in that vein, right? What is the area that you're comfortable exploring it? What is the outcome desired? And what is a reasonable investment to make, in your opinion? All of those things are good conversation points, right? Because we can then say, well, if you were to hire somebody and task them with that, here's what that investment would look like. And then there's no guarantee that they're going to execute on it. Here's what the investment with AI will give you. And you're not getting any bad days with AI. You're constantly able to iterate, and you can and people don't like to hear this, but it's like anything else. It allows you to iterate in a sense that you can fail fast in order to succeed long term, right? Maybe your idea was wrong. Maybe your outcome was over the top. It was too far of a stretch. And you can reel it back in, get a modicum of success, and then go forward with a different path versus, oh my God, I've hired 3 people. The BDR is not doing the right job. The messaging isn't right. Now you have a partner in AI that, as it learns your business, as it learns your data, it can help you tune the messaging. It can tell you what exactly your competitors are doing, how they're doing it, what messages are resonating. Those are all useful exercises that you can get results in minutes, not weeks, not months. And I would argue that the incremental investment is worth the exploration. But don't just bring AI people in and say, what do you got? Right? Because all you're going to get 90% of the time is a sales pitch and over-promising, as you had meant. And so if people aren't coming in and don't want to understand your business, they're probably not worth doing business with. And that's, again, just my opinion. Just some areas and some philosophical beliefs that I personally have and how I conduct my business. First meetings, I don't ever show slides. I don't ever tell them what the portfolio is. It's, what are you struggling with and what do you want to do? And I'll come back to you with, here's some ways that we can potentially help you.
Absolutely. So want to reach out and offer, if you click on this QR code, it'll take you to the white paper that explains in a lot more detail the concepts that we went over today. And that my hope with this is to show such a dramatic side to AI. Again, it is the antithesis of what people believe, that AI can't help tradesmen. Well, my point is that AI is so ubiquitous, it is so helpful, it is going to affect and impact and change and enable businesses so much that even the tradesmen are going to be dramatically affected by this. And I explain how and why in this white paper here that you could click on and download it. So what I would ask everybody who, maybe you are a small business owner, maybe you are a CRO of a sales team, maybe you are the VP of marketing and have a marketing team, maybe you are a product owner and you're like, we need to do better go to market. I would heavily recommend taking a look at this and understanding the business opportunity you have to change the business you work for today. So again, thanks so much for everyone's time today, and look forward to seeing David come back in the next couple weeks. But always hit up our website, the Digital Leaders Podcast, and look forward to talking to you next week. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Shawn. Take care. Have a great day.